Welcome to Hemp Sister Nation, where you don't need a reservation. I said, Mama, hello, stand with open arms. Here to warn you with a one more time. Yeah, one more time, baby. Welcome to the nation. I said, welcome to the nation.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hempy Hour. I will be one of your hosts, Gina Mama Apps, and I am with the ever so beautiful. It's true. Together,
We're looking pretty good too for.
thank you. I'm almost out of bed. Thank you. Thank you. It's not easy, guys.
Real quick. We don't know.
Yeah, so Friday I was supposed to go in for a quick little double meniscus repair, arthroscopic shenanigans, and that was going to be a 3-day recovery, no biggie. So they go in and find a fractured patella, and my 3 days turns into 3 months in this wheelchair type status and no pressure on my foot and bed rest. So
You go big, always. You don't know how to keep it simple.
right. So try not to feel sorry for myself. We're going to carry the fuck on, and today we have an amazing guest. Who do we have today?
We have Shawn Watkins. And just to quickly wrap it up, this would be our last May mental health awareness episode. And we found it really fitting to bring Carl on him at the end of it to kind of really present to a person and going through life and the obstacles we face. And how our mental health plays a picture in that, and where that takes us, and what we can actually do to pay, the gifts that we've given ourselves and we receive to other people. And I think it just, just kind of tied up the month really well.
Really well.
Yeah. So,
Without further ado, I love that word. Do we sound fancy? Without further ado, Carl Shawn Watkins. Hey!
What's up, guys? How is everybody today? Good, I hope.
How you doing?
I am good. It's kind of dreary up here in the Northeast, but I'm good. I'm above dirt, so that's always good.
That's a good day. Amen.
to get shit done, right?
It's definitely good.
Carl, I mean, we started talking more when I first joined the Growth Academy, which was 6 months ago. And within a month of that, you're like, hey, I'm just going to start my own business and just do my own thing. So can you tell us a little about where you were, where you are, and what you got going on?
Oh, man. I don't know if we get y'all say the Hempy hour. I don't even know if we got an hour, but I'm going to give you
the Hempy week.
I'll give you a little bit of it. It's in my bio, abuse, addiction, depression survivor. I just wanted that to be known. I didn't have a fear of it. It's who I am. It's what you get. So I was is what I've learned. So it's a combination of a lot of things within me. So I cannot leave that back and introduce you to a Carl Shawn Watkins without that being a part of who Carl Shawn Watkins is today. So I keep that on there for the importance of a reminder and a humbling to me to know that I am anything away from being back there.
If I may just kind of piggyback on what that actually means, to someone like me, right? Who, you have addiction issues, terrible history with things. You've grown from it. You've learned, and now you're helping other people. And when is the right time to talk about that? You know what I mean? Because some people, me, I grew up, it was like, you don't talk about these things publicly. So it's something I've never carried in my business. You know what I mean? But how empowering is that? Because it's such a big part of who you are and what you've actually achieved. The how people react to that. I think people like me look at that like, I don't want to use the word hero, but like it is like that because I understand what that feels like. To have a past like that, grow from it, not be ashamed of it, but not really know how to share it or what that's going to look like on the other end and what you find. What have you found?
I found from both ends of the spectrum, and it's taken me some time to really, and what I really like, the importance of what I do, I changed the narrative of thinking about what vulnerability is. We have this, and I put vulnerability right in the stigma of all other kind of diseases, because if you're not catering to it or trying to understand it or trying to resolve it within you, if that's nothing but working through it, it is just about as traumatic as being alcoholic, drugs, because it is a masker. And as we know, in dealing with addictions, that's all they do. They mask things that we're really not dealing with. And I tell people that it's the utmost important that you use it strategically for you. It is a superpower. I came to the point of that knowing that I not was want to be a tell-all or even write a book or either share all the intricacies of my 54 years of life and living. But what I wanted to do was use those things that have been a crutch to me excelling and moving forward and being who I could be. I wanted to use those as stairs. So as soon as I came to that point of saying, okay, if I tell you this, then what?
Yeah.
That's really where I came to. I came to, okay, now what? It's just like a blackmailer. Once they got the envelope and they blackmail you, they got something to come back to. But if I go to the person that they're assuming to tell or want to tell what I did, then the blackmailer, he has no more power. And that's what I took with my vulnerability. I said, you know what, Carl, that's you. You can't change that. That has happened to you. That is you. That's a part of you, and you have constructed from that. Now, bear in mind, if I was still that same alcoholic drunk, still calling myself, which I tell people years ago, stop saying that, functioning alcoholic, they don't go together. They just don't. I mean, you can't be an alcoholic and claim to be. Yeah, you can't be an alcoholic and claim to be functioning. It's just really look at it logically and think about what you're saying.
But look at how society categorizes us, functioning heroin addict. Look at how society, that's where that comes from. You get up and you work, you don't have problems, Carl. You're doing what society's expecting you to do. Like, it's really very disturbing, but what a great insight to, dissect that, because you're right, there's no functioning alcoholic or drug addict.
No, right, it's not too far fetched from where they throw people in the cannabis industry. They would call me a quote unquote functioning pothead. Like, I use cannabis all day, every day of my life. I'm not a functioning pothead. Cannabis is just part of my life. I function. You know what I mean? Like that's offensive, and people just don't get it because the education is just non-existent.
It is, and it's premier education to those who want to learn what they want to learn. And that's what I took it upon. So when people talk to me about, you're a functional alcoholic, I say there's no such term. I say, if you want to go wordsmith, I'm a wordsmith, so we can do that. You describe to me functioning, and you describe to me alcoholic, and you tell me how you marry those two. Now, if you want to go logically, I'm going to tell you that, you muscle memory stuff you have to do. Yeah, I drove home a bunch of times drunk. Had no idea how I got there. Car was not crashed. I parked like I was supposed to. Could I tell you that that made me function? No, because at any time I got pulled over, I was going to jail. So, I mean, your body remembers things and it does things, but that does not equivalent to you being functional. Functional happens up here, not with what you do with your body. So,
no, if you would have gotten pulled over, they would have told you were just an alcoholic.
Absolutely.
So again, these are the societal dividing lines. So, very interesting stuff, man.
Yeah. So that's why I came to it, and I said, well, put it out there. And when I say put it out there, it's in essence of what I empower people to do. Talk about things that you are afraid of. If it's the boogeyman, if it's if a lot of people sometimes they never want to look under their bed once the light is out. I mean, you'd be surprised what people are afraid of. And a lot of that, if we look at it in all actuality, fear is just the unknown. We don't know. So we put what we don't know to be this big wall that stops us from doing everything we do know. How dumb is that?
Right.
So when you put it in the simplicity of thinking, I'll say, I'm going to be scared to go outside because I'm scared of rain. Okay, it's going to rain the majority of your life. So you're not going to do anything in life. You're not going to be productive. You're not going to, so just think of it in the aspect. And I tell people all the time, jump in. It's like cold water pool. You sit there and play with the pool and play with your feet, and you keep talking about how cold it is, you're not going to get in. But once you go jump in the pool and get in there and it gets acclimated to your body, you can swim for days, right?
Yeah, it's hard to get out of the pool at that point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You wish you'd have got in there earlier.
Right, with the sunshine. I agree. It's it's a very unique situation, and I started following you. I'm not part of the Growth Academy, but I started seeing your daily word, and I started seeing these little bits and pieces of your story. I just thought, it's just really, just speaks to a lot of people that, just have talents, skills, drive, passions. And
then you've been through some shit.
They have this thing in the class, right? I appreciate, yeah, and I appreciate that more. Like I'd rather put my professional situations and my own personal health in the hands of people that understand that in a different way. They don't read about it in a textbook. They felt that they've overcome it and they have experience. I'm not going to show you exactly how to do something. You have to do the work, but they're going to be a guiding light in a relatable way. And it's really a key component, I think, for some of these more, addiction-based, struggles that people face. It's one thing for somebody to tell you what to do, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's alcoholic. I mean, if you haven't drank anything, you can't tell me anything versus being alcoholic. And it's just absolute. I tell people all the time, they say, we always talking about vulnerability, trying to be like Brene Brown. It's like Brene Brown can't tell a Black African-American man lived this all my life what vulnerability is to me. I don't care how many people she researched, how many books she's read or written. She can't say vulnerability from my aspect. And that's what makes me key. Because yes, she has some insight, knowledge-wise and base-wise, that she understands some researches or some things that's happened, some test subjects, some model dummies, or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
But she can't tell Carl, kid from the city, Chi-Town on the streets, drug dealing, gangbanging, that grew up and came out of that. And now I'm doing my thing. You can't tell me about vulnerability in that aspect. You don't know. No. And that's just, and I tell people all the time, don't take offense to that. Actually, take education to that, because I can show you how to interact with people like me instead of you being fearful of people that look like me. I don't say that's like me, but look like me, because a lot of times they're just afraid of what they see. And it's the same thing. I've had it done. I live right outside Philadelphia. I work downtown Philly. I wear a bow tie and suit to work. I came across the streets and white ladies in their cars have locked their doors. I've heard the locks as I cross the street. I'm crossing the street from work or either lunch. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't really recognize you there, but I hear the door lock and I know what it sounds like. Like, wow, she's sitting in the door by herself and I'm crossing the street and she's that, and that's how society has it. It's just,
do you ever just like peek in the window like,
it's very tempting, but I don't give people that satisfaction.
Well, you can actually, you had mentioned, about, there's a lot of people out there that deliver other people's stories, right? So if you grow up in a community, where you don't, again, you nailed it earlier. We have fears of the unknown. That could be people, places, or things, and everything in between. If you are in an area that is not diverse, if you have all of these things, what are you judging your environment on when you're into environment? The things you hear and the things you see. And we can give a big fuck off to the media and to everything else that we see daily that starts to, that at any level, that really perpetuates these fears that don't exist in real life a lot of the time. You know what I mean? And it's, I think, very unique experience, to live underneath that kind of, and nobody can understand that, but to hear it and empathize with that is one thing, and that's pretty much all we can do every day. Right. You know what I mean? Just keep talking about it. That's all you can do.
And you have to keep.
Thank you for being.
You have to keep the conversation going.
I can't imagine the patience you have. You know what I mean? And the amount of ignorance you come across, and you just
I'm
pursuing
and I'm very
forward.
Because it drives me, and you had made a point where you were saying how that I was in Growth Academy, and then now all of a sudden I was doing this all along. What I was doing was strategically building what I needed, because I had to come on the scene with who I was, but I couldn't come as I was. So what I had to do was create momentum. And in that, I did that. I did the daily word, captured people's attention. I gave you the dictionary meaning of a word, and I gave you what that word meant to me in my heart and growing up and understanding that. So I'll let you know automatically that what you think this word means to you, because you've read the dictionary version, does not attach to what that word means to me that has lived that life.
And that's so impactful, Carl. That's so impactful. It's so impactful.
It is, because I want people to see it from a prospect of living it, and that's why I like it. That's why I go all the time and true. Back to this word, authentic. I go all the time with what I say, for the simple fact it's what I've lived, and that brings more power to anything I can create as a fictional story. It's what I live. So when I tell you what I live, it's power in that, because it's me. It's raw. It's what comes out, and I get to direct that. I don't get to have a producer direct my life. I get to direct that. So that's what I did at Growth Academy. I gained some skills in order to get it out. I sat it on the shelf and I said, you know what, I could really do this. I've got some people now that's understanding where I'm coming from. And then that's when I just flipped it from the daily word into business. So now I'm just talking to professionals who don't know how to do what I'm doing. And when I say that, that takes nothing away from their skill set, what they learn, what they do, what business they're in, what they're trying to do for their people. But I've told them that being vulnerable in relationships build leaderships. Right. It's just no other way around it. I can give you stats. I can give you numbers. I can just say that. I can give you the big example, what majority of everybody knows in the U.S., Walmart. Sam Walton, he founded that on relationship base. I'm going to give you part of what I'm making. So there you feel like it's yours. And that's where the disconnect has come from corporate, from those that are in control and those that are controlling the in control. So that's what I try to bring back to the forefront through that. And vulnerability is the only way in. People think it's something else, offer more money. I'm in Jersey now. They got the Shores is about to open for the holidays this weekend coming up. They need 500 people. I just saw it on the news. They need 500 people. They've only been able to hire 100. Wow. 100 people. And it ain't because people sitting at home taking this money that Biden gave them, because that ain't do nothing but pay what they already owe.
Got it. Yeah,
no, right.
But what it is people have taken a different look with this pandemic and say, oh, maybe I can go back to school. Maybe I can be better than $10 an hour. Maybe I can be, I can perform some things. I can have my own business. Maybe I can e-commerce. Maybe I can crypto. So people have gotten a mind of saying, yo, I've been sitting home a year and a half. My mind's been working.
Yeah. If you've sat in prison or jail, I have. These are the kind of things that you walk out of that environment with in your head. It kind of is very, very similar to what you're thinking when you're in that capacity of you have nothing. There's nothing available to you. Everything is limited resources. You are told what you can have. Everything is rationed out. And you think about these things, who you are, what do you want to do when you get out, right? I mean, all of these things. And you're right. A lot of people don't want to go back to working to the same place that put them in that headspace mentally. You know what I mean? This has been the retrospect of looking at your daily life, before COVID, right, and the things that you did, the things you sacrificed personally because you thought you were going to have rewards, only really find that the rewards are much more lifted over here. Right. You know what I mean? It's so impactful. It sucks in so many ways, but it is like maybe a gift to humanity in a lot of other ways, where we can really just, what is important, not to my life, but in like humanity. You know what I mean? What is important?
Absolutely. And that's where we,
of love. Leading with love. Yes. We talk about this stuff every day on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's a solid platform. It's not talking about bullshit on Facebook. Like, you're talking with business professionals, business owners, business-minded people, and they agree. And we need to lead with love and light. And that's, be yourself and be honest and trustworthy and see where that gets you. And it's okay to talk like that. That doesn't make you less than. It makes you more than. And it's nice. Yeah.
Like, we were talking about like corporate vulnerability, and it's literally the way for lower line staff, employees, et cetera, to identify we're human, and working for things that we can't relate to. And somebody being vulnerable in leadership literally is like an instant connection on a subconscious level. If you're vulnerable with me, I have a subconscious response. Everything changes. Everything changes.
Absolutely. I made the example when I was talking to a potential client earlier today, and I made the example of how the vulnerability works and the aspect of it. And I gave them two examples, actually. I say, okay, this is one that everybody knows, because at some point in time, we've all made appointments to see doctors, whether it was from our parents making one for us as a baby, or you on the deathbed and the doctor had to come see you. All points of your life, you've had interaction with a doctor at some point in time. So that is like me. I'm going to make the appointment. I'm going to dial up the doctor. I'm going to set the appointment. I'm going to book it on my calendar. I'm going to attend that meeting. And when I get there, I sit in the meeting and don't tell him what's wrong. Right. This is really what you're doing when you don't deal with your vulnerability. You're making an appointment to where you have to go. You're going to what needs to be given to you to help you, but you're not opening up about the help you need. Right. And I made that example to him, and I said, that's relatable to you. And I said to you, it's so relatable when I asked the question after that. I say, well, what sense does that make? Right.
Yeah.
So the same not sense that you got out of making a doctor's appointment and don't tell the doctor what's wrong, take
Right.
that and put it on top of vulnerability, because you're study holding that. That's a weight. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's whatever weight you don't want to give, like, because sometimes we tend to give things a higher classification. But I
No,
put that right there.
And that same motion, you've literally given the power of yourself to somebody else. That doctor's going to look at you and say, well, you know what? I think you've got this. You're not contributing that. You've literally given somebody power over you.
And that's exactly what you're doing when you're not vulnerable. It hinders you from doing what you can do. So that's what I'm saying. It goes back to you're afraid of what you don't know, and that's stopping you from doing what you do know. So how much sense that makes? It's like me knowing how to drive a car, got a license, got a vehicle, it's insured, but I walk.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of the car? See, so I put things in a perspective of that where people can grab them, they can see them, because it's not rocket science. What I'm talking about, I've been talking about this in my workplaces for years. So this is not new to me. So that's why I don't come off as a gimmick. That's why I don't come off as I gotta sell you this. No, I don't. Sure. This is the realistic way of thinking. This is how I write it. You see it in my posts. You see it in what I present. You see it in who I am. So it's what I digest. It's what I believe in, and it's what I know that works. And it's what's always at work for me.
Well, it changes how you can market yourself. You're not marketing yourself as a gimmick, right? I mean, you don't have to. No. You're opening up a door, and people are walking themselves in with those conversations. And that is a key difference in a lot of things, especially when we're selling consulting services and other types of things. You might have this whole itinerary behind you, but
I tell people, I say it's life. Yeah, it's a life foundation. It's a life foundation built on experience. And I tell people to back, because we're enthused with alphabets, and yes, I am law school. I am soon to be an attorney when I graduate. Keeping that up there with the man above. There will be some alphabets behind my name. Some behind my name with my college degrees, but what I can say to you, those mean nothing without my experience. Because even though I went to school and owe this money and got to pay it back, they didn't teach me how to apply any of that I learned in school. Right. All the book knowledge I have is just me being a little bit more educated than I was before I got there. Right. But they have not taught me the application of anything I've learned in school. I've had to learn that through the practice of actually doing it. So if I'm going to sit in a classroom and learn my life experience just to get license such and such behind my name to tell you that I already know what I'm doing, that's your loss. It's not mine. I don't advocate for you. You make your own choices.
School is interesting. They make us go through that first and then get the practice later. I don't see the problem with getting the practice first and then the degree.
Asinine.
It really is.
Yeah, because you're not going in any games. Like I played 2 sports, basketball, football. We didn't play in any games till we practiced. I never came to a game, missed a practice, and the coach told me, yo, you know what? You're going in because you didn't practice. You're going to start. Yeah. It didn't work like that.
No, or
so how do we do that?
Play this game, fail, and I'll beat you up after it mentally and phically to show you how bad you are. Right.
So
that's
what look at those things. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Man. All right. So all of that. And now we have Shawn Watkins Consulting. And
yes.
The doors are open for people to come in. And what are they going to find when they get there?
What they're going to find when they get there is I tell people all the time, I don't have an online course. Don't need one. People say, oh, you need to sell something. You know what I sell? I sell genuine. And that is priceless. So what I do, I walk you through. I do have a program. I do have steps that you take. I do have exercises that you do. But there are exercises that you refuse to do on your own. Right. I tell people that it's the realization. I'm not giving you anything that you can't do. Mm-hmm. What I'm giving you is direction and guidance on how to do it. Because a lot of times we say, oh, you're not giving me anything. No, I'm pushing you to do the things that you need to do already.
Yeah, it's a coach
but you're not doing it. Huh?
That's what coach does. Yeah.
That's why I'm not pressing you to do that. I want you to, first of all, it begins with you. Find out, what are you afraid of? Find out. I mean, ask yourself. I base everything on 2 principles, why and communication. Because if you ask the question and you communicate about it, a resolution is either in the making, you're getting toward it, or you'll find it. But you got to ask yourself why. Why am I not doing this? And that's what I sat down with myself. I had a whole me, myself, and I party before the pandemic. Well, right before it got really tight. Yeah, I really sat down and I talked to myself, and I had the pros and the cons of what I was going to do. And I said, okay, Carl, you know, this vulnerability thing, you've been talking about this. Now you're at a point where you're not going into the office, you're still working and all, but now you have free time. And I say, oh, you have on LinkedIn, you have a platform, because I wasn't full with social media on that extent, Facebook, all that. I don't really have the time. I'm not going to be posting a picture of me eating or restaurants or food, you know. So I really thought that was Instagram's thing. And Facebook, it just really thought that I would be telling somebody, you know, certain things or following them. And then I went to Twitter and I just be telling everybody where I am or where I'm going. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll go on LinkedIn, I'll get with some professionals who are dealing with things that I know they will not want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about them. And I said, that's what I did. And I said, I'm going to talk about them, and I'm going to talk about what they really feel when things are. And I had a couple of people tell me, yeah, you're in the legal profession, man. You know that everything legally done is public, but it's done by private people. And when I say that to people, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, because they deal with the law. The law is publicly for everybody. Right. But every lawyer you've ever ran into is totally public. I mean, private. Totally private. Yeah. Like if something slipped out about them, oh my God, they think they're gonna die. So I really had
a lot of them help them with that.
I really had a choice to make with that, and I really had a decision to make. And I started talking to some professors and some advisors and some people in my circle. And I said, this is the realm that I want to go in, and this is the narrative that I want to change. And 90% of them said no. And then when I got ready to pick a law school, I went to a law fair, and this professor, I said, let me ask you a question. We went through all the spiel, and she told me all the things I need to know. But it was kind of like an older white lady. And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, I want to throw something off for you, because everyone I've looked at were kind of like young, little snappy up and getters. And they just had like an older mother-like lady there. She was an attorney for a long time, and she was just kind of wise. And I just read that. And I said, let me run something by you. And she said, sure. I said, if I was to come to your school and I was a student and I had these thoughts, and I thought, and I laid on her some vulnerability aspects, and I laid on her what I see as far as what lawyers are and the narrative that I think that I really focus on that needs to be changed, or at least have not changed, talked about and discussed. She grabbed my hand and held my hand. And she said, oh my God, son. She was like, we're looking for lawyers like you. Aww. She's like, I am just so tired of these stuffy lawyers continuously to pull the same thing over and over. And she said it. She says, no disrespect to the profession, to the people, to that. But she's like, we're just in this thing of tradition, and this is how it is. And there's no bright spot. She said, that's why people hate attorneys.
Right.
She say we have to learn how to do. Oh man, me and her talked the rest of the fair. I didn't go to any other place because we talked, and she poured so much into me. And once she said that, that kind of emboldened me to say, okay, you go with it or not. You know, that's how I feel. You know, I'm gonna give you what I got. If you like me, then you'll be in my network. If you don't, it's 900 and something more million people on LinkedIn you can holler at.
Right.
One thing we have in life, a lot, even professionally, like we have to accept personally and professionally that there's just people that we're not going to vibe with. You know what I mean? And the challenge isn't gaining them. The challenge is finding people that make your business flourish without all that effort. You know what I mean? It's set yourself up for people to come in that are like-minded or are seeking the mind of yours. You know what I mean? It's we're constantly trying to like make things square pieces fit in round holes.
Yeah.
Round holes.
And you want square pegs and round holes. And you want to develop that. And that's really what I tell people that I counsel with. And you want to develop that, especially small business owner, mid-level, even mid-level business owners. It's kind of hard to do that in corporate because there's so many other people telling so many other people what to do. So it's kind of hard to get that direct line in there. But the mom and pops, the small business, even the mid-level, because a lot of time the mid-level, they're not too far ahead of the company and away from the company where they can still have that. I say build that culture. You want a culture where people come to your job and do everything for you as if they were doing it for themselves. And how do you build that? You build that with relationship. You build that through vulnerability. You build that through accepting and respecting them as your equal, regardless of titles. And you can do that through relationship. You don't have to say, okay, I'm the CEO. I got to make you the CEO for us to understand that we're on the same page. No, I'm the CEO, and I know that I employ you, and and I know that I'm over you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the plane to a place that both of us meet, and say, okay, I'm going to do this because Carl runs the place, and I'm going to say, well, I'm going to do this because she works for me.
Right.
And we're going to meet there, and that relationship is going to carry the foundation. So if you build that culture, you put that culture in, you have it. Okay. Another example I made to him, I said, okay, just take it like this. Your boss comes in, bad day, whatever it may be, traffic or whatever, they come in, slam the door. Everyone in the office has heard that. They've slammed their door. What does that do? That has automatically dropped the temperature in that office, regardless of who's working there, regardless of who's the funny man, regardless of who's going to make you laugh and smile. They're not going to do that because he brought that into the office.
Right.
The workplace was fine. So whose fault is that? So now you come out the office, you like that, and then the first thing you want to say is Johnny employee fault. See, this is what goes on in companies. No, what you do is you come in the office. Because I've done a lot of times. Yo, man, I just almost got ran over on the road. I'm like feeling like this right now. Let me like go in the office and chill for a minute. Let me breathe this off, come back out. Now everyone has an expectation of we can go on as need be because I've clarified what's going on with me. Yeah. That's being vulnerable. That's vulnerable through leadership. Right. Okay, I come in, I'm not having it.
It goes hand in hand with what you've already said about being unapologetically you. I don't want to jump on these calls and hear a robot. I don't want to hear someone spew some bullshit sales speech to me. I want your personality. I want to feel for who you are. I want to know if we deserve a second call because this first call has intrigued me. Like, I don't want the bullshit. I want you to cut through the bullshit. Give me who you are. And is that someone I want to spend more time with? And it just seems so simple to me. And people don't get it. They're too busy putting on a show. Just be you.
I'm so
that's it.
Watching you guys, and I'm stacking from the outside, the Growth Academy, but this idea of, this culture, right? Mm-hmm. So I was in hospitality management for almost a decade, 15 years plus, some part-time jobs and stuff. It's amazing to me because that is actually how hotels are operated, right? Yes. It is that particular culture. I get so excited seeing people in other areas of industry using that service culture and applying those things. The mentorship within the service culture is number one. You know what I mean? And you laid it out with your example. Like if I walk in and I'm slamming doors, everybody underneath me is tense. And their attitudes change like this. Right. In a service environment, you constantly, especially in leadership, but you constantly have to have that people pleasing face up, that's your employees and staff. But the benefits, the rewards for doing that it's a revolving door. You know what I'm saying? It works both ways. I literally would watch, our general manager get on his hands and knees and clean guest rooms. That was the top line of the guy. On a day he didn't have to. You know what I mean? Not like we were short staff or anything. We always led by example in that regard. The jam could easily go and work the restaurant and do dishes for 3 hours if he had to, and he would. And it just changes the level of the work environment so immensely. I mean, that's why I stayed for so long. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you're in a nurturing space a lot of times,
It changes the dynamic and it puts it in. A lot of people don't know. I GM 3 Chick-fil-A's for about 8 years. So that concept was just something that was already ingrained. But when I went there, I just took it to another level in myself and making others like that because I was already like that. I was raised like that. That's how I was. I was, it was ingrained in my culture. But when I spent years with them and training with them and developing leaders and assisting kids or when people have their kids there and the longevity of them working there as a 14-year-old dining room or a fry guy up until going to high school, graduating, going to college, graduating, coming back after college and working. So we're talking some kids I work with that spent 6-7 years at a Chick-fil-A. And you're talking about the growth and development that comes along with that. And they are such good.
Oh no. We lost you. Can you hear us still?
On.
There you go. Oh.
The totality of things that's going on. A lot of businesses now are catering their business to that. Rich Carlson I just heard they just signed a big thing with some Chick-fil-A brass that they want their trainers to do their training. So
Yeah.
it's an essence of this is what is going on, and Chick-fil-A is really no different than other one, but they hit your vulnerability. They hit your vulnerability spots, and being the human that takes care of that, because we
Right.
need humans to take care of what's wrong with us. It's just a no nonsense approach to me, and I don't understand why it's so hard for everyone else. But then again, I do. It's hard for everyone else because everybody else wants to have a facade.
Yes.
Everybody wants to walk around like it's not. You've been in pandemic over a year, maybe a year and a half. I don't know exactly the date wise, but at least about a year and a half. And you cannot tell me during the course of a year and a half that you're okay.
Right.
No, right.
So,
You're
so,
flat out
so
lying.
stop saying it. So stop saying it. Stop saying it. I mean, I don't need you to come all out your bag that you got all of this going on. But what I need you to do is just step to the forefront and say, okay, I'm facing this because this is going to make me better.
Yeah.
This is the only way we're going to get through this. All in this together. I hear them say that a million times. I tell people, stop saying that. It's not all in this together. I can't even get you to tell the truth about your program that you're offering. So how are you all in this together? This is some of the things that I deal with, and but I love it though. I love it, and you're not going to get anything different from me. I don't care
Well,
what
it
it was.
boils down
I did the
to
post yesterday.
our
Huh?
popular don't talk about it, be about it.
Oh, absolutely. I did that yesterday. That post, I read my post right after the meeting that we had, and a couple of people came up on me like, "Yo, you trying to do all this, and you trying to be that? Why are you bringing all that to?" And I said, you know what? The first thing came to mind and said, the people, and I wrote that post, and I said, no matter what you post, when people have done you wrong, they think everything you post is about them.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to leave that as an eye catcher. But
Confirmation
what I
bias
did
is rampant
do,
everywhere.
yeah, I said, what I did do, I took a big shiny picture of me with the biggest smile I can. And I made sure that God is dope was showing right in the front of that.
Love
And I
it.
took that picture, and I said, this is what I'm going to send out compared to that. I'm not going to regress. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to attack. I don't have time. Don't have patience. Don't have strength. And you're not worth it. So
Yeah.
once I put all those together,
The Trinity.
it took me 8. Yeah, it took me 8 muscles to smile. That's how I look at it.
I
8
love
muscles
that.
to smile.
I love that.
Love it.
Yes.
Carl, is there anything else that you'd want, our viewers to know about you, or how they can get a hold of you, to, have a little
Yes.
talk?
Yes, you guys have a little talk with me. Like my grandmother said, baby, have a little talk with Jesus. Tell him all about your troubles. I'm not Jesus. I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying I thought that was cute. She used to tell me that all the time
It is.
as a kid. I can be reached on my LinkedIn, Carl S. Watkins 1. Come by there, see me. I had a website, carlshawnsdailyword.com. I am in the midst of getting that overhaul. Yes, I'm getting overhaul. I'm going to put a plug in for her, Charlene Brown, Brooklyn Custom Designs. She is redoing my website on the business tip. So that's what we're doing on that. I got my programs. I mentioned I got 4 services that I offer coaching, consulting, mentoring, and speaking. They're all consulting services. I am not a consultant. A consultant stays in one lane. I have 4 lanes that I actively do the same thing in. So a lot of people say, oh man, you can monetize out. Nope, cut it out. I got 4 services. I'm going to coach you through, consult you through. You can hang around and be mentored through. Or if you want me to speak this, when I speak to other people, I can speak it. Those are the 4 ways that I get out my message, and I'm happy to do that. You can book me. I got to do 15. I have 15-minute initials. I only need 15 minutes with you to let you know if you want to work with me. Yeah. That's pretty much how it is. If you're real about it, 15 minutes is all I need. At that point, we can set up something. And I do have programs that you can get into. I got one-on-one coaching, mentoring, consulting, and also get group. Same thing, coaching, mentoring, consulting. And of course, speaking is no one-on-ones. Speaking is corporate. If I'm talking to you and I'm telling it to you, if you're not getting it in one of those 3, speaking, I need a group. Because I'm going to speak to a lot of people and disseminate what I got to say. So that is where you can reach. Oh, I just got a new Instagram. I ain't even mentioned that. Carl Shawn's Consulting. Carl Shawn Watkins Consulting.
Make sure I take everything.
Yes.
To your
because I got that too. I just forgot that because that was just done to me, done for me too by Teresa Etherly, beautiful lady I met here on LinkedIn. She is a software engineer, and she really got it going on. So she put that together for me. So I just like to give pubs out to those that have done things for me, because I do things for you. Written content for a lot of people. Content. They haven't came back and said, hi, thank you, nothing, but I'm good.
Because it's your karma, my friend. It's your karma.
Absolutely.
Goes
And I
around.
love it every day. Yes, and I love it too.
Yes. Well, we've kept you about 40 minutes, but do you have a few extra minutes
Thank
for
you.
us to shoot some random questions at you? A little get to know Carl better?
Sure, sure. That's good.
Outside of the consulting, Carl, who's not a consultant.
Yes.
You know, we had some questions. Obviously, we did this beforehand, but we really covered so much about vulnerability. But vulnerability was pretty much our core topic for May.
Okay.
You know, as we really wanted to do so. Since we spent so much time talking about what that actually is,
Right.
if you can just finish it up for us in 1 or 2 words, you know, finish the sentence. Vulnerability is.
Your superpower.
Whew, love it. Mwah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Vulnerability is a superpower. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's it.
That's awesome.
And everybody has it.
And the
it's
thing
all-
about it, the thing about it is unique.
yeah.
You know, it's unique. It's my superpower is not yours. Vulnerability we all have, but it's unique to you.
Oh,
And isn't that amazing to have your own superpower? No one else can claim it.
it's
No one
beautiful.
else, even if you're in the same situation, no
No,
one else can
no.
claim your superpower. No one
Like a
else can.
snowflake.
Yeah. Just
A
like a
vulnerability
snowflake.
is
Vulnerable is something.
Absolutely.
Living in this chilly
Absolutely.
breeze.
What is about you that would surprise people? Something we wouldn't know about Carl.
I don't know if I guess because I'm kind of like all out. Well, one thing would surprise people is that I am actually very quiet.
Huh, that does surprise me.
It's shocking.
Yeah, yeah. Like I tell a lot of people,
Yeah.
I'm social, but I'm not sociable. So
Okay.
yeah, so I can adapt to any
We're at
social
a-
setting, but I'm
Right.
not one of the ones that just have to be going out. Yeah, so that's
So
pretty
if
much.
we're at a party with a
so.
lot of people, you're probably hanging out with us in the corner, not really like putting on a show in the middle.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a show in the middle, but I'll be able to conversate and carry on with anybody who came around. You know.
Perfect.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel like I'm out of place or wouldn't look like I'm out of place. Definitely be able to be social, but
Right, yeah.
sociable takes it to another level, and a lot of people probably be surprised at it.
So there's nothing really to be gained to be a super extrovert. You having that nice little balance
Right.
is very healthy.
Yes,
man.
it is.
I'd guess that. All right. When people stand up for a standing ovation, are you usually one of the earlier people to stand or one of the later?
That dynamic has changed. When I was in the military, I was one of the first.
Yeah.
And since a lot of things have happened, I've been one of the last. And it is not in a disrespect to the flag or anything of that nature, but it is just a disrespect of people's misunderstanding of what it means, what freedom means. Because I've been on both sides of the plane. So people say, "Oh, the military, you'll stand up, you got to honor the flag." I get that, bro. I'll go say on my time. I get that, and I definitely understand that. I've had relatives and different ones that's been in the service, but the meaning now, without the change of understanding what that flag means to us, and when I say us, I mean those that have been disenfranchised, those have not had people to speak for them, those who've had their lives taken, things done to them without no repercussion, and on and on. The flag doesn't mean the same for everybody. And that's just being truthful about it. To some people, the flag is all of they know. To some people, the flag is a disrespect to what they know. So it depends on who you talk to. But yes, I am split on that. Before, it was the first one, but now it's the latter.
Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah. All right. Where are we? Oh, you know what? I'm going to throw a second half of that one. And have you ever gotten the chance to start a slow clap?
No, I don't think I've done that before. I'll work on that, though. I'll work on that, though. Yeah, he's giving me some homework, so I'll definitely work on that.
I'll join in. Do it in a video, and I'll join in.
Okay, absolutely.
All right. Well, here's your actual question. What was your nickname growing up?
My nickname growing up was Plaid.
Plaid?
Plaid. Yeah, I had it was kind of like a dresser growing up, and I just liked the dress growing up. And my best friend at the time, when we were playing ball, I came out on the court to shoot ball with him, to mess with him, and I had on penny loafers. And he was like, he ain't got no sneakers on, man. He said, you coming out here playing ball and penny overs looking all plaid. And I was like, I don't know how he got that or where that came from, but it kind of stick. A lot of the athletes and the jocks was like, yo, that kind of sound like you. Because, like, we were wearing, wasn't no uniforms and that kind of thing. People was wearing what they wore. But I always either had some loafers, a sport coat or something. So plaid kind of fit that dressed up thing, and it kind of stuck. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like like synonymous with like square and like plaid. Yeah. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed that you actually we can both talk about penny loafers and know what that means. You know?
Yes. I like penny loafers. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Had many pairs myself. All right. If you could teach one subject in school, what would it be?
Oh, good one.
I would be law, definitely. Would be law from a perspective of understanding what the law has done to myself, what the understanding of it to people that look like me, a comprehension that I think that we should delve into besides just a book level on it. I think law can also be taught from experience. And when I say that, not that you're not qualified teacher-wise, because you need your accreditation to actually teach that, but what experience you have can teach people about the law as well, how it's interpreted, how it's carried out, how it's dealt out to different ones, the examples that are shown toward different races. So I definitely think law is one subject that I would definitely find great teaching in school.
Awesome. And much needed.
Yeah.
And any real life skills would be nice.
Yes, absolutely.
Throw it out there.
I mean, our kids are in second grade and are taking like state assessment tests. I'm like, God, it's like
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I don't understand
out
that.
of it, you know.
Right.
Is to change.
Yeah, there's so many courses. Yeah, there's so many courses in school that I do think that the application is not there. They want a lot of the principle, the knowledge of having. But you reading all these books and you're not applying it to everyday situation does you no good in the real world. And that's why you have a lot of people that really are not doing what they had went to school for because they have nowhere to apply that or they have not applied that. So
or you're teaching tainted information because you're teaching what some jackass wrote in a book that you're supposed to view as fact. Like it's ridiculous.
You know somebody.
Absolutely.
Get up somebody.
Get a little passionate.
Yeah.
It was not rehearsed.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the truth though. It's the truth.
No, it's 100% the truth. And we do all of that now, and then we always go through the same circle. It's not like we can't stop this fucking madness at any given point. You know, we don't have to follow a line like that. We've actually spent most of our adult lives trying to undo the things of our previous years that were sent to us. So, you know, we just skip to it.
All right, last but not least, and by far our favorite question, Carl. What is your least favorite animal?
A rat.
Well, we're close. I was hoping for groundhog.
Yeah, that too. They're in the same family. Yeah, they're in the same family. Oh, yeah, I really would like that to go. That I wish that would, but no, that's definitely and not in the term of what a lot of people think of. I just think that the destruction that they cause, I'm kind of like analytical with it. They cause a lot of destruction. They carry a lot of disease. And those are kind of things that I despise. So characteristic wise, they fit the bill.
Yeah, yeah, man. They are the best. Yeah. Well, you grew up in Chicago, we have
absolutely first-hand knowledge.
Cat rats.
Yes.
They're like raccoons. They're like 40 pounds. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
In a backyard barbecue or something in Chicago, you hear like the running on the tin roof. Like, what the hell is that? Oh, that's a rat. Yeah. They're here for the barbecue. Yeah.
You can't grow up in Chicago and not know about that. So that's definitely definitely.
They're pedaling down the Chicago River, like flipping you off.
Yeah.
Carl, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys for having me.
An amazing happy hour. Is there any little last words you'd like to leave us with?
Now, just vulnerability in business. Your business culture needs vulnerability, and regardless of how far you think that you are up the ladder, ownership, whatever it needs that culture, especially after we come back to some kind of semblance of us getting back to a normalcy, if you can even use that term. But you're going to have to change culture. A lot of things are going to have to change. The way that you do things, the way that you think about things, and the way that you interact with people. It's going to have to be different. And it starts with building that culture.
Love it.
Thank
Carl,
you.
Thank you so much for your time. What a pleasure.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, we'll talk soon. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You as well. Thank you guys.
Bye-bye. Oh, no.
I was looking forward to talking to Carl.
Yeah, you know that we go back with Carl. He's just such a good dude. He's such a good guy, guys. And every word he said, it's just genuine. That's him. That's him, head to toe, every day, all day. And we really wanted to bring that to you guys.
No, people in their experiences and bringing purpose to their lives, growing but not forgetting, and even sometimes they take step back through our lives to make changes, or to set the scene for changes to happen. And I'm gonna keep following up with Carl and some of his other works.
Well, it almost means more coming from a grown man than two moms talking about vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say that, but it's probably a little easier for women to be vulnerable and be a little more open about how they feel.
Right.
But seeing a strong man come out and do that, it's impactful, and we hope that it reaches other people and other men. It's okay to be emotional and be honest and open and transparent with how you feel and what you're going through, and take that into your business and let the people you work with know you're human.
He touched in a roundabout way about we grew up with climbing the corporate ladder, and what does that look like? And when you get to the top, what are you doing with that? And what they're proposing, and all the people we've been talking to lately, and Carl included, it's this dismantling of that that attitude. Not claiming that it's important to a lot of people, and the position.
What you do to get there,
and what you do when you get there, right? I mean, if we continue to support that ideology, then things like this don't fit. This vulnerability conversation goes away. It's really a way for it's most of the time we take instruction, trickle down, right, bottom, top down approach, but this is really a call from bottoms up,
right?
Calling for leadership in the way that we need it.
Well, like you said, dismantle.
Dismantle.
And let's do it right. Let's do it right together.
We can hold the structure. We need a CEO. You're a CEO, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? What does that actually mean in the corporate structure? And how do we keep turnover down? How do we keep employees happy? How do we improve their lives?
Right. And be relatable.
Yeah.
Because we're human. No one's better than anyone else. We're all just different. I just found out.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all for your time. So whether you are watching us or listening to us at the beach, we thank you for your time, and we hope to see you next week on the Happy Hour. One love.
Stop button. There we go.